throb forever. Yo, heart throb.
All right. Now we're going to move into one of the more precise concepts of this FBA thing and our identity as a specific and unique people in the United States and the actual entire continent of the Americas, North, Central, and South America. Now, like I said before, I'm all with the FBA. The FBA will just be the FBA will be like the almost like the specific almost like the specific title for the people who are from America, from the Americas only. So we have that term, but here's another term that has to be latched on to, and it has to be communicated as essential to locking down the FBA identity solely. And I've been saying this term the entire time, and that term is American Black. American Black as well is critical because what it does is it eliminates any other global phenotypical person or phenotypical Black person from being able to say that they are part of FBA. What I mean by that is the term African American. As FBAs, we all know that anybody from Africa coming to America can be deemed African American. So if they're from Nigeria, when they come here, technically and logically, they're African American. So they get to claim African American and they get to claim Nigerian American. Same thing with somebody from Ghana. They get to claim Ghanaian American and African American. Same thing with somebody from the Caribbean islands. They get to claim Jamaican or Haitian or whatever and African American. Same thing with somebody that's phenotypically Black from any other part of the world. They can claim, Egyptian, and, they can come here and say, I'm Egyptian American, or I'm Egyptian and African American. Same thing with any other phenotypically Black person from Asia. They can come here and say, I'm Asian American or I'm African American. You see what I'm saying? So, and this is what they've done. They've set it up that way. They've set it up that way to be able to do it, to always have an inclusion to who we are supposed to be uniquely from them. They're trying to attempt to keep us from being able to uncouple or decouple from them. This is real jacked up, but you have to understand that we didn't set this thing up. They did. You see? So the same way that it works for African American and them being able to latch on to it, it works the same way with Black American. Now be very careful, because I said the term that we should be using is American Black. We should not be using African American, which is what I just went over, and neither should we be using Black American. Because anybody coming from somewhere else, if they immigrate here or wherever from another country, or their first, second, third generation here, they are essentially Black Americans, because they are Black from somewhere, And since they reside now in the United States, they are American. You see that term also allows everyone to be included. But the one term, aside from FBA, and like I said, I'm with FBA, but the one term, aside from FBA, that eliminates them being included is American Black. You see, that's that simple flip of that word. They can't say that, because if they say that, then they are denying their African ancestry, African lineage, so on and so forth. So someone who is not of slave ancestry here in the United States and in the Americas, North, Central, and South America, if they're saying they're American Black, then they're essentially denying their African identity. American Black locks it out, just like FBA does. And if you really look at it, foundational Black American is the same thing. Although I say it should really be foundational American Blacks. You see what I'm saying? We cannot use the term African American. And as well, we can't be using the term Black American, because this is how they've been getting us. The term FBA and American Black totally strips anything directly and by proxy African away from it. If somebody comes in from another country who's, Black from another country, and they say they're American Black, and it's like, oh, okay, so you're not African, you're not, you see? And then we also know that, we got the proof now that the first peoples in the Americas were Black people. That's just what anthropology says. That's just what the science says. There's no way around it. It's a real simple thing. And it's crazy that, that it kind of took us this long to unravel the word morphology and stuff that they use. Like, let me give you a point. And we can't be doing or accepting other people telling us when to stop using words. But, nobody get mad at me. But one time I listened to Vlad and he had Paula Patton on there. And she had made a statement that she said, what did she say? She said, well, you can't be, man, what was she talking about? It was something she was saying that led her to use the word ganked. Like, you don't want to be this or that, because you mess around and get ganked, get ganked for your money. And then Vlad said, ganked. Oh, wow. That's a word I haven't heard in a long time. Ganked. So it's so 90s. See, we have to stop letting people dictate to us what words we can use, because this is how they will essentially down the line use it against us. Now, I kind of took offense to him saying that, because when she said it, I knew what she was talking about. So what what he's doing is telling her indirectly, she's like, you want to use that word? He didn't say this. This is me saying what I'm interpreting that he's saying without him actually saying it. Like, you're going to use that word. That's kind of outdated, this and that. We have to stop that. We have to stop letting people dictate to us what type of words we're going to use, because what it does is it'll influence masses of our cultural ethnic group to just keep pushing things that we've created to the side, and then other people pick them up and then claim it for themselves. You see? Just like they did with the term American Black. You see? Because before we were African American, pay attention. We were the American Negro. And the term Negro just means Black. But what they did was came in with word morphology and said, there is no way that these other black ethnic groups from around the globe can come here and partake in the allocated services that have been allocated for the American Negro or American blacks unless we do something to make them all inclusive by proxy. See, we got to come out of this thing of not being critical thinkers with this. Our lineage and our survival and the remembrance and respect to our ancestors is too much on the line for us to not be a thorough thinking people. And this is what they've counted on century after century and decade after decade, that we would not start to unravel these things that are embedded in the law. So when the baby boomers and then the silent generation did their thing, they did the fighting. Well, I ain't gonna say the boomers, although some of them was in the civil rights fight, but for the people who fought for civil rights, literally, once they fought the way that they fought and then they won that battle, they kind of went to sleep. They kind of lost sight of what else we needed other than education. They're like, okay, well, shit, now since they're going to have to pay us what what we should be making at these jobs, and they got to let us into these academic institutions. That was only part of it. We needed more than access to education. We needed access to world trade opportunity. You see, we've been, systematically pushed out of that. And think about it. We were systematically squeezed out of world trade participation, while at the same time, the country allowed world trade participation from every other ethnically black, population to participate in the financial system of world trade here in America. But we, as the black people in the Americas, were largely excluded from that. That's why we could go everywhere in our cities and in our states and around the country and see all of these, phenotypically black stores and stuff on the corners. And, but many of those stores weren't owned by us. Yeah, we had some, but we didn't have them like they had them. And you know why? Because we were systematically squeezed out of it. We were squeezed out of it because they could come here. Those other black ethnic groups could come here and claim African American. They could claim Black American. So they get the benefit of coming here and being absorbed and seen as a black, as just a regular American black person, but then they get the benefit of their, federal funds that were earmarked and allocated specifically for them for being immigrants here, which we can't get. We can't get those things. We can't participate in it. You see? So when they come here, they have funds that are allocated to them, and immigration funds and funds for immigrants to start a business and do. But we, being black people in America, we're disqualified from that. And they make sure to let us know that we can't qualify for that. But peep this. They could come here and benefit from HBCUs, which were created specifically for American blacks. But because the term Black American and African American is what is used to identify us, it makes them automatically included in what's only supposed to be earmarked and allocated specifically for American black people. I hope you all see what I'm saying. And of course, someone's going to say, oh man, that ain't going to make that big of a you just, playing semantics. You damn right. You damn right I'm playing semantics, because everybody plays semantics with us. And we were the Kumbaya tribe. oh, we're all black and everybody's included and let's all just get along. No, while we were doing that shit, everybody was licking their chops like some hungry wolves behind our backs. Let me give you an example. You ever, be talking to someone wherever you're at, maybe business, school, work, the mall or whatever, you're talking to someone and hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then when you walk away, you're walking away and then you kind of feel somebody looking at you, and then you kind of look over your shoulder and you catch them looking at you kind of fucked up. For those of you who experienced that, you know what I'm talking about. So that's what I'm saying with us. While we were being kumbaya with wanting everybody to be included, they was Birdman hand rubbing on our asses when we weren't looking at them. Not saying that all of them were doing that, but we have too many cases to verify that many of them were doing that. I want people to start explaining how with the World Trade Center, why there weren't more American Black people who had businesses as opposed to Black immigrants, ethnically Black, phenotypically Black immigrants that had businesses everywhere, and why we weren't able to participate in those funds that helped them establish their businesses here with this lie that they came here and did it on their own. No, they didn't. No, you didn't. You came here and you got federal funding just like they did the immigrants from Europe with the Homestead Act. For those of you American Blacks who know what I'm talking about. And don't just be listening to these terms and don't go and look them up. Like I said, we can no longer be a people who is not being absolutely thorough on these terminologies and on these historical laws. No, we're not doing that anymore, man. And I find it real funny as well that you take like the death of Jesse Jackson, rest in peace to the brother. And I don't know if he was fully aware of what he was doing when he advocated for legislation to identify us legally as African Americans. I don't know. Hopefully he didn't know. But I'm sure like as with a lot of you, y'all are all probably thinking too, like, damn, like my man passed away on the first full year in 2026. Where American Black people are identifying as FBA, we've all collectively woke up to this terminology and say that we're not African American no more. We say we're not African American and my man dies. Look, man, you cannot be more universally synchronistic or God being at work in that situation. I don't care what nobody say. You see, because he could have passed, before we all woke up at the same time. But he passed after a full year of deliberation and back and forth between American Blacks and other phenotypically Black ethnic groups battling about our identity. And then the more cohesive and the more coherent and comprehensive we became at verbalizing and describing what we mean by this, because it was an easy lick. Anybody that tries to stand up and argue this thing against us, you're going to lose that. And the reason you're going to lose isn't so much anything about us being better about anything. It's because the truth is basically tired of being hidden. You can't argue it. So I got to keep reiterating, we cannot use the term African American. We cannot use the term Black American. And we can't use African American or Black American because those two terms allows everyone to come in and be inclusive of this lineage, which they are not a part of. You see, American Black is the only other term to be used aside from FBA. That's it. And I've heard of some other terms like Solon or whatever, this and that, but I don't really know enough about it. I have to research it. And, after I learn about it, I may come and, add that to the lexicon. But American Black immediately strips any other person not from the Americas from indirectly trying or from it immediately strips them from being able to crowbar themselves into our lineage. This is critical. And some of you may be saying, well, why are you all so worried about someone crowbarring into your lineage? Well, because before we had this epiphany about ourselves, we knew that we were different from all of the other Black ethnic groups, but we rolled with what y'all told us, that we was from Africa. But when we tried to form that solidarity with the other Black ethnic groups outside of America, and when they come to America, y'all told us that we weren't a part of you. And it confused us for a while. Like, okay, damn, well, so, we would want to be joined with Caribbeans, joined with Africans, joined with anybody that was phenotypically Black. We said we all Black people. But y'all told us, no, we can't do that. We're not part of that. We're not African, or we're not Caribbean, or we're not Jamaican, or whatever, or Haitian. Now, of course, there were some who said, no, we all Black people, but y'all know what I'm talking about. So when we finally say, okay, all right, well, you got a point. We're not from them. So who are we then? Well, we definitely from here. And so we got 40-something million people, close to 50 million, if not more, who all have the same lineage. So, all right, we American Black or FBA. And then y'all got to remember with the term African American, I remember when they brought that term to us, man. You know what I'm saying? I was in like 6th grade. And I remember not being okay with that terminology. Because before then, we were called American Negro, man. Like, I hope y'all see what they did. I hope y'all can see this. And then they didn't, allow immigrants to come over here until they had that basically on the books. Yeah, they started coming in and, with the Immigration Act in 1965 and, that whole deal. But the main play was to have the term African American in place so that they could get more of them over here. In 1988, then we started getting, temporary protective status situations for phenotypically Black people all over the globe. But when they come here, I just find it funny. Now you had a lot of them who were like, no, I'm Somalian, I'm this and that. But they weren't, when they first came over here, they weren't outright bold and disrespectful to us. Like, they hid it for a while. And then after a while, if they get in and get situated, then it's we better than y'all and this type of thing. And it took us a long time to figure this shit out, man. Because I'm going to tell you, I've mentioned it before in other videos, like where I'm from, there would be people that I went to school with and some dudes that I was real cool with. And I would notice that they had I thought they had like a speech impediment or something. But now that I look back on it, I realized that they were having, an issue with the language because they were immigrants. You see what I'm saying? It's a whole story that I could go into with that. And it's real disappointing and angering to know that people will come amongst the people and not really identify themselves. Like, they're like, what are you hiding? Why are you hiding what your ethnicity is? Now, I know that's what happened with me. I don't know about the rest of y'all. You know what I'm saying? And then I got to say this again, too. There was a lot of American Black women who, at least for the past 5, 6, 7 years, were stomping hard on, we are not African. We've been here. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to say their names right now because I don't know how they would feel about it. But those women, if y'all come across this, y'all know who I'm talking to. Those American Black women who were stomping hard specifically for the lineage and the tribal thing with what people would say that we're trying to be pretendians. And y'all say, no, we ain't pretendians. And y'all went hard on these phenotypically Black ethnic groups that were coming against y'all disrespectfully. And some of these sisters have kind of bowed out of the conversation. But I'm saying, don't bow out of the conversation. Step back into this shit. Because terms like autochthonous and things like that, for those copper-colored, sisters and all of that from in Tennessee and from Texas and all, y'all know I'm talking about. Like, your work has been critically important. We're just coming to the whole thing now to get on one accord. Y'all talked about how, we didn't form treaties with them and these people violated treaties. For those of y'all that this information has come across with my video, get back into the conversation. Because it was y'all that helped me be able to verbalize a lot of this stuff. Get back into the conversation. Y'all copper-colored females and chieftesses and empresses. I'll say it again. You copper-colored chieftesses and empresses. Don't stop the lioness roar now. Because y'all laid the groundwork and made it real hot to some things where it can't be denied. And I appreciate y'all for that. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes the lion that you need to come in with the strength, he be busy off doing some bullshit until he hear the female lioness roar. Like, oh, what the fuck going on? Let me go. I hear something. What the fuck? And he get back and add the strength to it and get the ripping heads off. That's what happened. Copper colored empress. Your war cry was heard. I'm getting the chills right now, yo. Cause I swear to God, man, like ain't none in my life other than my children been more serious than this topic and this thing for my people. But once again, we can't continue to use the term African American. We can't continue to use the term Black American. And the one terminology, aside from FBA, which I'm with as well, but the one terminology that eliminates and excludes anybody else from trying to crowbar themselves into our lineage and our identity and the respect that we're owed as a people, just like we respect other ethnicities and nationalities. The one terminology that forces that, aside from FBA, is American Black. Because for anybody else outside of being American Black to try to claim that terminology, they're going to essentially be denying their own ethnic identity. Because they know full and damn well that they're not American Black. It ain't nothing African in the term American Black. It ain't nothing Caribbean in the term American Black. It ain't nothing Pacific Island in the term American Black. You see? And that's going to go down from North, Central, and South America. American Black. And then they can put whatever, thing that they need to put on it as well for further distinct identification. So I hope this is clear, and it kind of will kind of jog like a cognitive reset as to how we've been viewing ourselves here. Because right now we locked in with absolute precision as to who we are as a people, FBA and American Black. I'm out.
Throb forever. Yo, Throb.